Chapter 193. Wait. Vida calls, rushing out of the room after Nora and I wait. Just hold on a second. Can we talk about this? She steps around my tail, which undulates silently behind me even as I twist to face her. Poor Vida. I know it hurts her to see me side with her sister like this, but this isn't a matter of personal loyalties anymore. I can't abandon this chance at a win. The need to cure death is the one noble goal that survived my old self. To deny it now would be absurd, especially after everything Nora told us. Still, it's not like I'm going to tell the woman I love no, we can't talk about this, so I stop regardless. Nora, or her avatar, at least, stops as well. Having no expectation of changing our minds is no reason to not explain ourselves. There's got to be a better plan to stop the Mistwatcher, Vida insists desperately. This is insane. Darling, if you have a better plan, I'd be overjoyed to hear it, Nora sighs. And Vida hesitates. Because of course she does. She has no plan, no alternative. She's just here, stopping us in a half-panicked mess, because we're working off to discuss complete omni-genocide of the entire known world. And that's a rather fucking absurd thing to throw on anyone. I feel for her position, achingly close to stepping away from Nora and changing my mind. But no matter how I rotate the problem in my head, no matter how I grasp for alternatives, I find myself thinking that Nora is right. That the wider world, of which we've just been introduced, is doomed to suffer as ever-dying food unless we burn the slaughterhouses and salt the crops. The Mistwatcher's head start is too massive, too overwhelming, and our only hope comes with delaying it as long as physically possible. I want to side with Vida, I truly do, but no matter how I look at it, Nora is right. And that makes me frown, my scales shifting to a suspicious hue. Finding myself agreeing with the master animancer, am I? Vida doesn't seem to believe foul play, and I certainly haven't detected anything. But that's no excuse to be lazy with self-assessment. I need to review my thoughts and memories and look for inconsistencies. My principles may be shattered things, but they were less than that when I used them to break free of my last bout of animancy manipulation. If my feelings can't be manipulated, then the obvious answer is to not let my feelings be the sole rulers of my judgment. So, who was I, in the months before today? Would that Penelope Vesuvius have sided with Nora? At least insofar as I can quickly review in the span of this conversation. Yes. It's likely she would have. Immortality for all has been my greatest goal since long before I even met Vida, and the knowledge that it is inherently impossible so long as the Mistwatcher continues to exist is crushing, to say the least. To have to kill a god to realize my ambitions. It is a heavy thing. Beyond even my arrogance. But I suppose I would not be a noble if I could not swell my arrogance to fit whatever vessel dared to contain it, and the knowledge that Nora has a path forward is invigorating. She may be a maidwoman, but she's a horrifically sane sort of maidwoman, callous but intelligent, paranoid but predictable. She does not fail to see the world for how it is, she simply does not hesitate to smash any part of it that is in her way. And that is something I feel I can respect most easily, even if I know I cannot trust her completely. The more I think back, the more confident I become. I'm not finding any inconsistencies in my thoughts, feelings, or inclinations that lead to interference by Nora. That more or less completely rules out the possibility of any animancy affecting me since our arrival here. For my thoughts to feel this internally consistent, I would have had to have been mentally manipulated weeks ago. Which, well, is obviously impossible for Nora, unless she has infiltrated our island with animancy-capable minions, something she has insisted is a terrible idea to even have in the first place, and altered my mind far in advance of this event, somehow without me or Vida or anyone else even noticing. And that's not only ludicrously unlikely, but even if it is somehow true, it means we are so ridiculously outclassed that considering the matter further is somewhat pointless either way. So, probably not mind-controlled. That's good. What if we recruit the other Mount Oceans? Vida asks. You made yourself into what you are, right Nora? So you know how to connect with Mount Oceans. We could. We could make non-sapient souls and program them to just crash into the Mistwatcher's ocean directly, annihilating as much of its mana as possible. Nora nods. It's not a bad idea for doing as much damage as we can, I'll give you that. 2 issues with it, however. 1. It's too risky. Making a living organism that both has enough of a mind to house a soul and doesn't have enough of a mind to do anything is difficult work. If we only cared about making sure it did nothing in this world, we could just craft the body to be immobile. Easy enough. But we have no such way to prevent an ensalmon ocean to not move the ocean itself, and the moment the Mistwatcher detects that kind of thing, he'll go on high alert, killing everything that moves. It's too risky, far too risky. If any step of the process goes wrong, in any of the non-sapient siblings you're suggesting we create, we die for nothing. Any plan has risk, Vita insists. Every plan has risk. The Mistwatcher is damn well going to react when you kill everyone, too. You seriously think the difference in risk is so great it justifies worldwide genocide? Yes, absolutely, Nora answers without hesitation. But that brings us to the second problem with your plan, Vita. If I didn't think it would be more likely to get us killed than work, I would simply be doing it and also killing everyone in the world to harvest their souls for myself. They are hardly mutually exclusive plans. In fact, they complement each other extremely well. Vita just looks lost, every other plan in her head likely crumbling for the same reason. If Nora can deal even more damage to the Mistwatcher, she will. And there's nothing that ends up with the Mistwatcher being set back farther and the people of the world surviving. Why? Why are you even doing this now? Vita sighs helplessly. Didn't you tell me once that you were hoping for more time before your big plan? That the skybreak came too early and you'd have to wait? I don't have to wait, Nora frowns. But it's true that it would be best for my plans to wait. Still, I'm not going to. Why? Vita begs. We can figure something out if we have a few extra centuries of time. Or, well, who knows? Maybe I'll end up thinking like you and wanting to help. Isn't that better than this? I'll hate you for this, Nora. I have to hate you for this. No matter how many people I bring with me, you'll still be destroying my home. You'll be destroying Liriope. I know, Nora says. I'm sorry. I don't want you to hate me, Vita. But it's better than having to watch you die. Nora reaches out, gently grasping one of Vita's semi-solid anima tendrils, glittering a brilliant gemstone blue. You've made yourself so beautiful, Nora sighs. So fantastical. I've never even thought of doing something like this with anima. Never even considered it, because why would I? I can make flesh do anything I want. But you want something beyond even flesh, so you made this. With Praji's assistance, certainly, but still. You've not even lived 2 decades and you've made something like this. It's wonderful. And if you stay here, you'll die for it. What? Vita breathes. You'll die, Nora repeats. I know you will. You've done a wonderful job fashioning this to prevent our brother's automated detection from picking it up, making it just physical enough to evade his notice, but it's a shallow camouflage, sweetie. The second you're spotted through the mists, he won't just swat at you with a tendril. He'll see what you are instantly, bring his full attention to bear against you, and you'll simply cease to be. Nora drops the tendril, which falls limp as Vita stares in shock. Oh, poor Vita. She's been so excited to wear her new form, and now she's being told it will end her? I want to scoop her up in a hug, but Nora beats me to it, stepping forwards to put both hands on her sister's shoulders. I'm sorry, Vita, but considering the trouble you've already caused, I can't trust you to go half a millennium without something happening, Nora insists. So unless you can reverse the fundamental fusion of flesh and anima you've started, unless you can undo this spiritual physicality without killing yourself, it happens this skybreak. I'm saving you whether you like it or not. Vita's horrified expression is all I need to know about whether or not she can undo what she's done. And just like that, a tension I didn't realize I was holding disappears. Whatever doubts I had about this are nothing in the face of her survival. I don't like to believe that I'd destroy the world for her. That would not match the person I desire to be. But to destroy the world in order to save the universe, and my girlfriend in the process. Yes. 1,000 million times yes. My dream and my love, rescued in one single, irreparable, unimaginable act of untold evil. It isn't even a choice. Make your list, Vita, I tell her gently. I know you can. I know you won't actually agonize about who to take and who to leave behind. So just let us save the future, and you with it. The fact that I'm a bad person who won't actually be sad about people I don't know dying doesn't mean their deaths will be okay, Vita says helplessly. That's like the entire thing we've been working towards, right? The entire idea of principles and morality and shit. You don't kill anybody just because it's the easiest way. What's the point of any of the progress we've made, if we don't at least stick to that? It's not the easiest way, I insist. It's just the best way we have. And sometimes, that still involves death. Penelope, Vita presses, the hexes of her eyes and the glory of her soul all narrowing to stare at me in all their intensity. Are you sure you're okay? I am. So I nod. She lets out a shuddering breath, and turns away. All right, then, she says, and she walks off. It hurts to see her go. Some paranoid part of me wonders if this is the last straw, if this will pull us apart permanently. But I've committed. It's the one thing I have to commit to. Surely Vita, of all people, will understand that. I have to admit, I'm surprised to see you side with me, Nora says conversationally. I'm even more surprised to see that it's genuine. It is reassuring to see someone so forward-thinking among the young. Mortals are always obsessed with short-term pleasures, perhaps by necessity, I agree. It is part of why I have always strived to cease being one. I understand completely, Nora smiles. People like us are too greedy to be mortals, aren't we? Yes, I suppose so, I nod sadly. So, not to be presumptuous, but if there is a manner by which I could assist you, I'd be happy to do so. Nora considers that, motioning me to follow her puppet body away from the guest quarters. I do so, the two of us strolling through her giant, hollow bones in contemplative silence. You lack knowledge, experience, and skill, Nora concludes bluntly. You have wonderful potential, of course, but potential isn't helpful in the short term, and we are unfortunately moving on a time scale that is far more short-term than I would ever normally allow myself to function at. HNGH. I can't say it doesn't hurt to hear such a frank dismissal of my abilities, but I suppose I am speaking with the world's foremost master. I understand, I nod. Perhaps I can assist by running damage control with Vita? Perhaps you can, Nora agrees. Though I actually had something else in mind. Knowledge, experience, and skill you may lack, but what you have is a powerful gift from my brother. Microbe generation and comprehension, yes? I could likely put such a thing to use. Oh. Interesting. I admit, I'm surprised to hear that. I didn't think you're the type to allow yourself to have any use for the Mistwatcher's scraps, I answer carefully. Not overly carefully, of course. Nora has, for all her omnicidal tendencies, appeared to fairly consistently appreciate frank conversation, and seems to possess a realistic assessment of her own flaws. And indeed, she responds with a good-natured chuckle. What my brother lacks in creativity he makes up for in raw ability. Perhaps more importantly, any mana you burn via the use of your talent spends his power, whereas any mana I burn spends mine. You're not in any way necessary, darling, but I won't reject a good opportunity for optimization. We have a lot of microbe work to accomplish in short order, after all. Oh. I press. And why is that? I'll show you, Nora smiles. Just know, of course, that deviation from my plans in any way will not be tolerated. It matters not to me whether your failure is motivated by accident or deliberate sabotage. If you desire to help, you will do so perfectly, Penelope Vesuvius. I understand, I nod. Do you? Nora muses, a smile quirking at her lips. "You've witnessed the results of my callousness, dear. I've felt your fear and disgust. And yet, do you have any comprehension of what I'd do to someone I was trying to hurt? Ah! I'm being threatened by someone dramatically more powerful than I am. I wonder what it says about me that I find the situation largely nostalgic. I will take your words to heart, Nora, but they will not be relevant. My work will be to your specifications. One does not bring anything less than perfection when plotting the end of the known world." Nora grins. "Well said. Now, let me show you where you'll be working." Like a broken spell, her happy expression falls, completely slack, and the puppet just starts to walk. I almost wonder if she has been attacked at first, but no. Nora is simply done with pleasantries, done with manipulating the minutiae of expression. It's time to work, so I follow her. She leads me deeper within herself, our walk swift but measured. She's in no hurry to get me on board, and who knows what she's using the time for. In the silence, my talent churns within my soul, dancing automatically over everything around me, whispering how hard it would be to infect, how challenging to corrupt. But not impossible. Anything can get sick. Anything can break. Wouldn't it be beautiful? It would. It really would. But I've thrown my lot in with my lover's sister, for the promise of an eternal tomorrow. For a world where anyone can live their life as they choose, for as long as they choose. For a destiny that is ours to seize until the end of time, not snuffed short by a so-called God. And right now, that feels like it's worth any cost. Even a cost so unfathomably large that I will never be able to comprehend it, let alone repay it. In that way, I suppose this is how I have always been. What is the difference, exactly, between 12,000 and 12 billion, to a mind that has only ever cared for the lives of 5? The depths of Nora's caverns are strange indeed. That euphemism passed through my thoughts entirely unintentionally. I should clear my head. I am not thinking at my best. The potential for crass humor is even particularly apt. The deeper we go, the less the tunnels are made of hard enamel and the softer they become, actively pulsing with veins of blood beneath their thick skin. Many times, we step into a pliable area of the tunnel, turn a corner, and then a feeling of movement shakes my balance, the entire area reconfiguring itself as we walk through it. The possibility of me navigating myself back to the others has vanished, and she's making sure I know it. "Almost there," Nora promises, her first words after nearly 3 hours of walking. Less than expected. There's no chance we are far enough away from Vita for her to be unable to locate my soul. Is Nora underestimating her range? The idea sounds ridiculous, but I have no way of knowing what a normal sensory range for Vita's kind would be, and Nora probably does. Whatever it is, Vita is probably above it. It's always been the aspect of her unique nature that she's focused on the hardest. Her capacity to sense souls has been her greatest asset all the way back since our hunter days, and her soul even hatched into the likeness of an eye. Still, there's always the possibility that Nora simply doesn't care about obscuring my location from Vita, only the reverse. "Now then, the project itself," Nora announces. Here we are. A membrane in the wall next to me opens up like a pair of curtains, utterly identical to every other part of the wall until it moves. I automatically suppress any surprised reaction, calmly turning to behold a large room containing what appears to be a bulbous mass of fungus. Approximately 10 feet in diameter, though its irregular shape makes it hard to specify, the orange-gray mass looks somewhat like a giant cluster of tumors, with fuzzy fronds extending upwards into the ceiling and mycelium threads twisting into the flesh walls of the room to feed on the nutrients within. It's rather beautiful, though I doubt the average person would agree. My talent is also desperately attempting and failing to figure out a way to inoculate myself against the near-instant death that would occur if it ruptures. Over the past several millennia, I have been seeding every island in the world with one or more of these, Nora announces casually, as if it is not an unthinkably massive undertaking of apocalyptic proportions, depending on the island's size and proximity to its neighbors. Because of our earlier time scale, I've only hit about 99.2% distribution. Not unworkable by any means, but far from ideal. In order to ensure ideal coverage with acceptable levels of emergency redundancy, we'll need to overpressurize the relevant buds, based on island configuration, so that they can unleash overlapping payloads in uncovered areas. That's where you come in. I want you to analyze the microorganisms inside and produce more of them, inserting them into a receptacle I will provide for you. I'll let myself passively absorb her words as most of my mind focuses on realizing the implications of what she's saying. One of these. On every island in the world? More and more of its nature becomes apparent to me. This central structure is just a storage area, possibly one that, until very recently, was empty on every other copy of this fungus in the world. Nora is implying that these went unnoticed by any civilization for millennia. And while that's an absurd claim to say about an obvious bioweapon, it's quite an easy claim to make about a seemingly harmless, seemingly useless fungi. Hiding them all over the world, propagating via her agents or spores, lying in wait for a trigger of some sort to activate and turn them into deadly weapons. Yes. That's doable. Spores. Pressure. She talked about pressurizing and propagation and, of course, that's how it will kill everyone. There's at least 2 agents contained within, or a single agent performing double duty, one that will rapidly devour and destroy any and all organic material it contacts, rapidly melting all life it touches into dead paste, and one that, upon being detected by another copy of this fungus, will activate it as well, unleashing its payload in a chain reaction. Each and every island will be devoured in minutes, and by the time any neighboring island realizes what is happening it will already be too late. I wouldn't call the plan itself genius, though the structure of the death spores is absolutely a work of unparalleled biological mastery, one my talent is still screaming itself half to death over attempting to find a method of resisting it. Rather, the plan is straightforward and horrifying entirely in its simplicity. It requires nothing elaborate, only thousands and thousands of years setting up a network of bombs all over the entire world, with the care and precision to ensure they are never discovered. Does Nora have agents guarding them, I wonder? Gravitenders? Do her zealots know they will be killing themselves and everyone they have ever known? Are they capable of caring any more? I suppose it doesn't matter. Nora has crafted a biological bomb that can spread death over an entire island and beyond, launching an insane quantity of spores at dramatically supersonic speeds to kill everything that breathes, settle into the soil, and then kill everything that doesn't. I understand, I tell Nora. I suspect I'll be able to replicate these spore structures within the hour. It would be faster with a sample I could manipulate directly, of course, but I know better than to ask for one. Because letting it come anywhere near me would kill me in seconds. Nora smiles and nods. Then I will leave you to work. You will know where to place them, when you have the ability to. I nod back, knowing better than to take I will leave you as anything but politeness. She is watching me. She will always be watching me. I am deep within her womb, and she guards her child with nothing less than all her strength. It says much about the difference in our abilities that she even allows me here in the first place. I am simply not considered a threat. At all. Even this close to her prized creation. Something about that nettles, but, well, I will not sabotage her for the sake of my ego. I will do the work she requests of me. And so I do. It's tedious work. After I finish using my talent to cheat out an understanding of the microorganism Nora requires, I simply spend the rest of the day making it. The receptacle Nora provides is interesting, at least, a hand-sized black void of anima, similar to the core of Lark's soul, that acts as a bridge to Nora's Mount Ocean, where she presumably manipulates and redistributes the obscenely dangerous mass of organic sludge I'm generating with my body. Not, for once, within my body. I have to magically manipulate the compounds out of my flesh and assemble them in the in front of me, because if I let any of the finished product touch me I will die. And even after a day of non-stop attempts, my talent will never stop. Even if I wanted to, I still have no counteragent available to me. Nor do I have one the next day. Nor do I have one the day after that. This is all I do with my time, now, eat, and produce disease. I am bored, Certainly, but boredom is something I know how to deal with, and so I deal with it without complaint. It is near the end of the third day that one of Nora's puppet bodies returns to speak with me. This one does not look like a facsimile of Vida's older sister at all, but rather a nude human woman with scarlet red hair, pale skin, and a sharp face. Even her ears are pointed, and she drips with a sticky, high-nutrient embryonic fluid, like she just emerged from an egg. "Your girlfriend has begun to make her move," she says, frustration tinging her words. I also note the choice of words, your girlfriend. Not my sister. Not Vida. Your girlfriend. She's implying an association between myself and whatever problems are occurring, if not in culpability then at least in responsibility. "May I assist in some way?" I ask. "It will likely be of more use to me than additional payload," Nora nods. She is more of a nuisance than I expected her to be. I could easily snuff her out, and she knows that, but she also knows you don't want to, I conclude. And she's using that against you. "Yes," Nora grumbles. She certainly has no qualms about tearing apart whatever chunks of my soul she can get her tendrils on, of course. Ungrateful brat. Kidnapping her friends hasn't even worked, she is adept at protecting them. She's even blocking me out from accessing my own Vrothizo. I'd be proud of her if it wasn't so annoying. And painful. "I'll see what I can do," I agree amicably, standing up from where I'd been sitting on my coiled tail and stretching out my sore limbs. Would I be correct in assuming that delaying her is sufficient? Is there a specific time frame we need? "Not long now," Nora shrugs. "Only around 4 hours. "Oh, not long now," she says. "I only need to delay Vida for 4 hours. Watcher, how am I even going to do that?" It doesn't even matter, does it? Vida can't stop this, can she? I muse. "Of course not," Nora dismisses. "She's not doing anything but throwing a tantrum, and she doesn't even realize it. Even if she made it here, what would she do? I have dozens of backup sites to unleash my plan from. She's just being annoying. Go convince her to stop." That might be doable. I just need to break her morale, show her the reality of what she's up against. "Lead the way," I encourage Nora, and her puppet nods and starts to awkwardly jog down a hall. I follow. It still takes us over an hour to get to Vida. Nora is an entire island, after all, but I hear her long before I can see her. As I sprint down one of the enamel tunnels towards her, I feel a distinct change in atmosphere. Not just in the sense that my girlfriend is clearly in combat, the sounds of violence echoing down the hall, but also in my talent's passive sense of everything around me. I am no longer surrounded by things to infect and subsume. This hallway, thanks to Vida's rampage, is dead. Which I suppose makes the hallway a bit more normal, since the average hallway tends to not be alive, but I digress. The idea of Nora dying, even in part, is still remarkable to me. Somewhat disturbing, even. Certainly this may be little more than a single necrotized finger in the grand scheme of Nora's body, but... Necrosis. I have been thinking too much about immunization. Nora's spores propagate and consume flesh at a faster rate than anything I've ever encountered before, after all, and consequently there is no time to protect a body after infection. Designing a sporophage has been equally ineffective, since it simply also gets eaten. But the spores don't consume or destroy each other, and it should be possible to spoof whatever enables that. Rather than inoculate my body, perhaps it would be simpler to develop something unconventional to attack the spores. No, I don't have time to think about this right now. I'm close now, and Vida knows it. Just a minute later, I turn a corner and there she is, my radiant love, battling Nora and her servants in a beautiful whirlwind of violence. Blue tendrils emerge from her broken chitin like twisting sapphires, plunging into both weapon-wielding servants in the hallway walls to tear out morsels of life and being to devour. The wolves attack back with tendrils of their own, fighting furiously onwards even through complete local soul death. Watch her, she's beautiful. And the others are here too, I suppose. Jalisa Veda hangs near Vida for protection, rarely doing more than cutting the occasional wall tendril that gets too close. Lark is more mobile, staying within Vita's bubble of blue mana but bouncing from edge to edge at blistering speeds, ripping tendrils open with her teeth. While Jelisaveta avoids fighting any of Nora's servants mainly due to lack of opportunity, Lark avoids them on purpose, likely not having the stomach for killing sapient life. Nugas has no such qualms. I'm shamefully somewhat surprised to see her there, fighting alongside Vita. I almost forgot she was here, having spent 3 days without her. I'm so used to having her either by my side or completely out of reach that I just didn't consider a middle ground. I certainly never considered that she would side with Vita over me. The very idea feels impossible. Yet, there she is. She forgoes spellcasting and even weapons, simply waiting demurely at the edge of Vita's bubble and viscerally disaboweling any of Nora's servants that get close. I watch her punch clean through the torso of a human man, grab his intestines in her fist and rip them out of his body. Then she stares directly at me and winks. I feel a flutter in my chest, and quickly return my focus to Vita. "Hey, honey," I greet her as Nora's naked puppet body quickly turns tail and flees. Sensible. No point wasting resources. "Penelope," Vita scowls at me, her eyes narrowing in a pattern I'm loath to see directed at me. "Come to your senses yet?" "Come to stop you, actually," I shrug, slapping my tail anxiously against the ground. The fighting stops, Nora's forces all dying and my friends? Respected comrades, all turning their attention to me. I've seen what Nora has in store, Vita, and there isn't much point in causing problems for the sake of it. The world is already doomed. Have you given Nora your list of people to save? Have they been brought here? No and no, Vita says, and my heart aches. Oh, she'll be devastated. After all this, I'll stop her, Penelope. I have to. I can't accept this solution and still call myself a better person than I was. That's a thought. Why do we have to be better people, Vita? I ask. She stops, the last of the souls in the area already picked clean. What the fuck kind of question is that? She asks me. An honest one, I shrug. I'm not necessarily saying we shouldn't be better people. I am, after all, helping your sister because I believe she is right, in the long run, but it's something I've been wondering about, these past few days. Why have we been putting so much effort into this? What's the point of putting so much effort into becoming better people if you and I can't even agree what that is? It's just an idle thought, really. Perhaps I've just been cooped up alone for too long. The question is a distraction, mostly. The more I can keep her talking, the less damage she'll do. But it's also an honest question. Why try to save the world instead of the universe? What makes that choice better to Vita? To anyone? Vita gives me somewhat of a lost look, and she turns to Jelisaveta. Not an encouraging response. We have been taking our moral cues from Jelisa, I'll admit, but this reaction indicates she might be stifling our introspection by providing the answers for us. Notably, however, Jelisa doesn't respond. Perhaps she's noticed the same thing, so she stays silent, returning Vita's stares an indication that she should answer the question herself. Vita sighs. Because I want to, she shrugs. I don't know. Why does anyone do anything? I blink. That's it? I ask. Why is that a surprise? Vita asks. Some people kill because they want to. Some people stop others from killing because they want to. I've done both. I found myself happier while I'm on the side that helps than when I'm on the side that hurts. I get frustrated when I hurt people. I get mad. I hurt myself as much as I hurt anyone else. I didn't really notice it at first, but I do. And that's why it sucks that I'm so prone to hurting people anyway. She shrugs. I just want to break the habit. Like a drunkard seeing alcohol drain his life away, or a gambler tossing his fortune away to cards. I'm addicted to being selfish. And I wanna quit. Don't you? I roll her words around in my head, inspecting them from every angle. Addicted to being selfish. It's apt, I think. I'd personally call it an addiction to short-term desires, though. Doing whatever is immediately fulfilling to my current emotional state is tempting, it always is. But having the self-control and self-discipline to pull back from that and force myself to consider the future leads to far greater satisfaction. It leads to accomplishment, to pride, to joy in oneself that feels deserved. And in the long term, cooperation is superior. Kindness generates interest, cruelty generates debt. Allies bring help and joy, enemies bring strife and hardship. But this task will not leave enemies. It will not leave anyone. And it will save a universe from being reduced to cattle. I agree, I decide. I simply think Nora's plan presents the more altruistic option. The universe is more valuable than the known world, as it is incalculably more vast. Well, I think we don't have to pick one or the other, Vida answers. If the universe really is that big, we can find another way out there. It might take another several thousand years, but I bet it's there. For someone comparing her own vice to gambling, you're strangely interested in leaving fate to a bet, I counter. And for someone spouting their position as altruism, you're strangely interested in slaughtering billions of people, Vida scowls. This conversation is stupid, Penelope. Quit being an idiot and help me figure out how to win. You can't win, I shrug. Though maybe if a sporophage could self-propagate using whatever system transferred the activation signal from one fungal colony to the other. No, I need to focus. Vida's eyes twist into a grin, doubtlessly having felt my pondering. Curses. I don't believe you, she says. And I'm not going to let you get in my way. We'll have make-up cuddles later, honey, but for now we are going to kick your ass. Oh dear. Well. It's a good thing I've been preparing spells this whole time. So, of course, has Vida, but her first move is obvious. Teleport into my space and smother my magic with her mana. I counter-teleport, retreating back down the hallway a moment before she appears where I once was, and then I fill the air around me with plagues. A second attempt to approach would go badly for her. Unfortunately, Lark shoots after me instead. My Athanatos specialized disease spread not able to do much to her Nora-designed biology. Lark practically runs on the walls, her powerful legs letting her leap around the tunnel in any direction at any time. Sorry. She yelps, and somersaults at me, extending her quills as I make the mistake of trying to slap her away with my tail. I fail to pull away fast enough, her back blade slicing through me in deep gouges. I heal the wounds almost immediately, but it causes a split second of extra delay to my spellcasting speed that Vida takes advantage of, she and Jalisa approaching behind a barrage of soul bolts. Soul bolts. Vida fires shells of plundered anima, filled with her mana and designed to detonate on impact, eating any ability I might have to counterattack. My large body makes it difficult to weave around them, but even if I do, she can command them to detonate mid-flight. Gah! This is pointless. I'm not going to be able to win a magical battle with Vida, not anymore. So instead, I fight defensively, letting her fizzle my spells and disperse my diseases as I defend myself from Lark's constant harassment, up until the moment she decides to teleport and to cut off my magic entirely. And then I wrap her up in my tail the moment she appears. I'm fast, exceptionally so. I wrap her arms up and hold her in place before she even realizes what's happening. I know Vida doesn't need her hands to cast, but in the same way that Vida is using Nora's reluctance to hurt her to her advantage, I can use Vida's reluctance to permanently injure me in the same way. And with her caught, I can use her as a shield against Lark, keeping Vida between us at all times. Vida grunts in annoyance, her kineticism spells not powerful enough to overcome the raw muscle in my tail. I can't really do much to her in this position, but that's okay. I'm not trying to win. I'm only trying to stalemate. It was just an idle thought, Vida, I grunt. You know I don't have any desire to help you, even if I had the capacity. Which I do not. And I'm very pointedly not thinking about it, in case I accidentally find a way to stop Nora's scheme. Well, maybe I have a little more faith in you than you do, she grunts. Or maybe I just can't do this without you. I can't believe I have to do this without you. Come on, Penelope, I thought we were on the same page with this kind of shit. Vida, I love you more than anyone in the world, I tell her firmly. But that doesn't mean I'll side with you when I think you're wrong. I don't understand why you think I'm wrong, though. She snaps. What has gotten into you? Didn't we just do the whole find a better way that works without killing everyone thing? Didn't we already agree that's the right call on Verdantop? Why the fuck is this happening again? Yes. It is a little strange, isn't it, my lady? I blink, turning to the speaker. Nugas gives me a misleadingly vacant smile, her innocent expression not matching the blood and viscera all over her body and uncharacteristically practical clothes. It's so odd that she came here in armor. So unlike her. Was she expecting to have to fight? Why didn't she come with me when I left? Nugas, I greet her, somewhat hesitantly. It's good to see you. Now we both know that's not true, my lady, she grins, chuckling as if she just made a joke. I'm afraid it's time to end our ruse. I narrow my eyes at her. What exactly are you implying? Is it not obvious, my lady? Nugas asks, tilting her head to the side. This conflict was planned from the beginning. By you, I may add. HNGH. Really? It's unlikely, but not entirely implausible. With what I understood of Nora's personality, her current plot is somewhat predictable. Obviously I couldn't have known specifics, or really anything of any certainty, but it'd be nearly impossible to not suspect that Nora had some sort of plan in the works that Vida and I would get unwillingly roped into. She had, after all, been frustratingly coy about the reason for our visit, and awfully insistent about getting Vida to owe her a favor. And yet, for any of this to make sense, you're implying that I used animancy to alter myself to be inclined to cooperate with Nora, days or possibly weeks in advance of us ever even coming to the island, as the tampering would otherwise be obvious, in order to gain her trust so that I could subsequently betray her. That is, in a word, absurd. And yet you did it regardless, Nugas shrugs. I was there. To be specific, you made yourself more positively inclined and respectful towards Nora in general, so that any idea she had would seem more appealing to you. You were betting on her ego. Not a bad play, if true. Still, though, it hardly matters, Nugas, I sigh. You're saying I used animancy on myself to forget using animancy on myself so that I could let someone use animancy on me to change my mind later. That would never work, and I would know that, because obviously the me of now doesn't want to have my mind changed, because I believe in the cause I'm fighting for. Only Vida has the power to force a change in my soul, and she has no idea whether or not this actually happened or if you're just making it up, because if she did know, then Nora would know, and that would defeat the entire point. Also, she'd never alter my soul without my permission like that. Vida shrugs, indicating agreement in the general sense, though leaving room for the fact that she probably would alter my soul without my consent if she knew I was compromised by someone else with certainty. But she doesn't, so she won't. Nugas muses, tapping her chin in a vaguely condescending way. That's quite a good line of logic. I know, I growl, not taking being condescended to lightly. So I'm not really sure what you're trying to accomplish here, Nugas. I'm not just going to let you cast animancy on me however you want. She looks up to me, a wide, bright smile creeping its way onto her face. Yes you will, she declares with absolute certainty, and I find myself needing to suppress a fear response. And why would you say that? I ask hesitantly. Her smile doesn't change, but it suddenly feels more cruel. Because if anyone in the world deserves to, it is I, she intones. And you know it. You have always known it. Look me in the eyes and tell me I do not have that power. Deny me my right, Penelope Vesuvius. I stare at her in terror, my grip on Vida slackening. No words come out of my mouth, and she takes it for the consent that it is, reaching a hand up to my belly. Wait, I stammer. Nugas, please, don't make me lose my love for her again. Nothing else exists in this moment. But Nugas only looks to me with something like pity. You have no right to ask for something like that, she declares. That man had a family too, you know. I shudder, closing my eyes in acceptance. Has this been her plan from the start? Am I really going to let her do this? No, of course I am. It's the whole reason I keep her around. I tell myself it's because I'm responsible for her, because I have an obligation to see to her happiness, but in reality it's because I hope she'll enact her revenge. Why else would I let her learn animancy, of all things? Damn it. She knows me far too well. And all she's ever wanted was for me to love her. I suppose I deserve to have that wish granted. What a pair of tragic monsters we will be. Never let it be said I don't have a type. There, Nugas declares. Done. I blink, memories of setting up this very plan suddenly filling my head. I look at Nugas, fearing for the feelings I expect to enter my heart, but only the usual regret and shame bubble up within me. I look to Vida, my usual joy and love warming me as before. Then I think about Nora, and feel vaguely embarrassed about how easily I went along with her plan. What? I choke out. Why the fuck are you surprised? Vida asks, glowering at me. I'm standing right here. She cast with my mana. I'm not going to let her soul rape you, no matter your martyr complex. My martyr. No, wait, seriously? I sputter. That's it. That's all she did. Yes. Vida groans. Why is that hard to believe? She gets stupid around me, Nugas answers sagely. I take pride in being her greatest weakness. Not even you can steal the title from me, Lady Vida. Well duh, I'm way too strong, Vida answers, crossing her arms. What? I manage. Honestly, my lady, I've only ever wanted what's best for you, Nugas chuckles. We both know that's not me, not until you get over yourself. You killed a man. So what? You kill men all the time, and I never liked him anyway. My life has been quite nice, and I thank you for it. Now then, shall we save the world? You shall not, Nora's voice intones, vibrating the entire hallway. Penelope, I can't say I'm surprised you have betrayed me, but I'm certainly disappointed. Well, I respond, standing up straight to try and collect some of my dignity back. Personally I can't say I'm disappointed, but I'm certainly surprised. Cute, Nora responds flatly. But in all seriousness, dears, could you just save everyone the trouble and stay out of my way? You can't stop me. I've been putting fail-safes and redundancies into this plan for millennia. You're not doing anything other than being poor guess. Vida muses. Are we sure about that, Penelope? I think as fast as I can, rushing through every memory still tinged with the absolutely wild assumption that killing a life in the only world I've ever known would somehow be a good idea. Yes, it's a more sure blow against the Mistwatcher's power than any other, and yes, that matters to an unfathomable degree. But while it is a more sure strike, it remains a gamble, and if we are going to gamble we may as well go all in on doing the right thing. We'll kill the Mistwatcher and save the people living on him. Somehow, we'll find a way. Still, though. We are, actually pretty sure, I stammer hesitantly. I could maybe develop a counter to the death spores, but distributing it would be impractical. We'd need to co-opt the delivery system here in Nora's Island, but even if we fight our way there and somehow manage to do that, she could just activate a different colony to be the trigger instead. Exactly, Nora grunts. Listen to your girlfriend and be good, Vida. We still have time to save your favorite mortals if you just behave. No wonder Vida didn't give her sister that list. Nora would just be using them as hostages, wouldn't she? So, Nora is presumably using her soul tunnels to transmit the activation commands, since she's also been using them to move the microbes you've been working on for her, right? Vida asks. How does she know? Oh, wait. I glance towards Jelisaveta, who seems to be doing her best to mind her own business. I wonder how many miles away she can hear in these tunnels. That's right, I confirm. So, hypothetically, Vida muses, wrapping an arm around Lark and causing her to squawk, if we had a direct line to the middle of Nora's Mount Ocean, How big of a payload of your counter-agent would we need to escort through the tunnels? Well, not that large, I admit. Only a few thousand microbes. Maybe even as little as a few hundred could achieve exponential growth. But it doesn't matter. Nora snaps. Your subverted Vrothizo is not relevant. Your beachhead inside my monoself is a grain of sand. I only have so much patience, child. I could crush you in an instant. Consume and overwhelm you entirely. I don't want to, but if you ever actually pose a threat to my life's work, I damn well will. So you're saying that I could actually pose a threat? Vida grins. I am saying that you need to stop testing me, sister. Vida laughs, relief and melancholy in her expression. She turns to me, stepping in close for a hug. Surprised, I reciprocate, wrapping my arms around her as she wraps hers around mine. Her head turns up, her face coming forward so the lower half brushes up against my lips. We kiss, as close to it as we can, and as we do she guides me hands to the cracks in her chitin, where her tendrils spill forth into the world. It's time, she says quietly. You only ever get to do this once, so make it count. Oh, I see. I bring my tail up and around her, guiding her head forward into another kiss, this one deeper, more passionate. And as we hold one another, I dig my fingers into her cracks, wrapping them back in around the inside of her shell, feeling the cold, nearly frictionless form inside. Vida shudders, tiny tendrils forming to wrap around my fingers, to hold me closer, but we both know we can't hold this moment forever. I grasp harder, straining her shell more and more, feeling her breath quicken and her muscles, or what's left of them, seize in pain. Oh, her pain. Beautiful. Enticing. Invited. We talked about this moment, her and I. She knows what I am, the sorts of things I like. And she welcomed it. The last moments of her flesh will be delicious agony, pain I get to inflict on her without a shred of guilt behind it. Because I love her, and she loves me, and this moment is in every way for the both of us. Her chitin cracks under my grip, spiderweb fractures dancing up her back and eliciting a delicious whimper from her lungs. With a snap I break off 2 entire chunks of her shell at once, and the blue within streams into the world, writhing with joy. Through the holes in her lower back I reach deeper, the blue within shifting to make room for me. My arms reach up inside her to grasp where her wings are anchored, and I press and twist and tear, enjoying every visceral moment, every pained twitch of my beloved. And soon, I split her entire back clean open from the inside. The blue explodes, dead wings of flesh rapidly replaced with brilliant wings of soul, 1,000 thin tendrils weaved together, patterned with eyes, stretching and flapping and feeling the joy of freedom for the first time. Next, I shatter her arms, twisting and smashing the chitin until it is completely unrecognizable. Her new hands are almost identical to her Athanatos set, though of course rather than white chitin they are a deep, slightly translucent blue. Her legs are next, crushed into splinters by my tail, and what emerges looks almost human but for the color. Everything but her head is free now, and with exquisite slowness and care do I peel the final piece of her apart. Her complex jaw, multi-segmented and alien, folds to pieces joint by joint, her twitches and trills of pleasure and pain made all the sweeter when coming from her new form. I loosen what remains of her skull, and save the final, most precious piece for last, her eyes. I have always loved her Athanatos eyes. Like 100 sapphires, they shine with her every emotion. Eyes have always been special to Vida, and Vida's eyes have always been special to me. So it is with great care that I weave a final spell to tear them from their sockets like the core of a peach. In one final, beautiful moment, I rip her eyes out of her head, and Vida dies. But Vida lives, and she is beautiful. Free from her flesh, my girlfriend's idealized form floats in the air above me. A semi-solid anima structure, birthed of genius and hope, comprises her body. Her humanoid shape is smooth like a doll, androgynous and lacking both breasts and genitals. The spherical eye of her old soul still rests in her belly, and tendrils still emerge from wherever she chooses, twisting impossibly and shifting uncountably. The majority of them form her wings, winding together like vines into a shape halfway between bird and dragon. Tendrils also comprise her hair, flowing down her back in messy locks that remind me of the day I first saw her, letting Remus kick her half to death just for a chance at daily stew. I didn't understand her then, but I am so glad I understand her now. She smiles at me. Not just an Thanatos smile, although she does do that, her beautiful alien eyes still shining on her face even though more humanoid eyes are visible here and there around the rest of her body. Yet she also gives me a human smile, with a human mouth that seems to flicker in and out of existence as her expression warrants. She lifts up out of my arms, twisting once in the air and letting the unadulterated joy at weightlessness fill her form, every part of her finally feeling right. And then she floats back down into my arms and gives me a proper kiss. Our lips touch, and I feel myself start to cry. We hold each other for that immortal moment, together in joy and purpose and love. I am hers and she is mine, her final apotheosis tied inextricably to our love. It's a perfect memory, one I will cherish until the end of time, but all too soon it comes to an end. Are you done? Nora asks. Because if you two want to finish in a private room I'm happy to arrange that for you. If only we could, Vida sighs. Unfortunately, Nora, I still have to stop you. Well, as happy as I am for you regarding your new body, Vida, it doesn't actually change the fact that you are nowhere near powerful enough to pose any threat to me whatsoever. I know, Vida sighs, taking to the air again. But I know someone who is. Silence. I can feel the terror and fury fill the air, the weight of the threat two gods are presenting to the other. You would not dare, Nora hisses. I would devour you in an instant. Oh yeah. Vida asks, crossing two of her arms. How's that escape tunnel coming, sis? The hole you're drilling through every other ocean to get away from Big Brother. The one you said you needed half my mana to complete? You brat. I do not need you, you just won't have enough mana to complete it if you waste it all on killing me, Vida finishes for her smugly. So if I do get Misty's attention, well, you're not really going to have enough time or attention to spare on countering whatever we get up to, are you? You childish idiot. Nora shrieks as Vida starts rising upwards, reaching an arm through the ceiling. He'll kill us both. You get that, don't you? You'll die too. Well, I guess that's the difference between us, isn't it, Nora? Vida asks. I'm willing to risk that. The island shakes, a quake of unparalleled fury nearly sending us to our knees. My wrath will burn eternally for this, child. Meh, Vida shrugs. I'm sure you'll find it in your heart to forgive me in a few centuries or so. I can't help it. I start to laugh. I love you, Vida, I tell her, having never felt it more fully than in this moment. I love you too, Penelope, Vida smiles, and then she vanishes. I let out a shaky breath, tears still wetting my cheeks. Not the most creative, I'll admit, but they're still good words to have been our last. All right, everyone, I tell the others. I suppose we should go save the world. Chapter 194. The memory of visceral pain and pleasure still lingers within me as I float up through the ceiling, my body transitioning seamlessly out of physicality to pass through whatever matter stands in my way. My sister surrounds me, her network of countless souls seething with rage, fearing for her life, panicking and calculating and questioning and plotting and hating. She's beautiful, in her own way. But it's a sad beauty, a woman chained to herself and her fears. It's like looking at how Penelope used to be, just more. And as powerful as she is, I won't let her stop me. Not with so much on the line. Penelope, Lark, Jalisa, and Nugas move below me, their souls bringing me comfort as I ascend. Especially Penelope's. Fuck, I love her so much. I hope we'll get to see her again. Fuck, I hope we get to see her again. We will, Zoe promises me. We have to. The hero gets the reward at the end, right? I suppress a shudder. Don't say it like that, even jokingly. We both know that's not how the world works. I start to accelerate faster and faster, my uncountable tendrils twisting around me as even this impossibly high-stakes moment is inescapably immersed in euphoria. My body is beautiful, and it finally feels right. Utter weightlessness, whenever I choose. Utter freedom from the confines of flesh. Yet just as easily, I can snap back to something not unlike flesh but improved, refined, composed of everything I love about physicality yet nothing I hate. My twisting tendril wings, my 4 perfect arms, my face that mixes the best parts of each of my lives. My body, smooth and sexless and finally free from hunger, thirst, heat, arousal, sweat. Free from everything that doesn't matter to me, that restricts the person I want to be rather than defines them. We have enough of a body to smile and wave and run and fight and hold everyone we love, and not a single fragment more. We are perfection. As was the moment we became complete. Penelope. Holy shit, Penelope. I love her so much. We love her so fucking much. My old body couldn't feel much at all, near the end, but damn did we feel that. We felt her reach inside of us, we grasped her fingers with whatever tendrils we could form, held her close, and then my life's final agony screamed through my body as she tore us asunder. Piece by piece, she freed us. Piece by piece, she killed us. It was beautiful and exquisite and unlike anything I've ever done before. It shines crystal clear in my newly perfect memory, ready to be repeated lovingly again and again, the joy of my beautiful, genius Penelope finally indulging herself, finally getting to live her deepest desires without a shred of guilt, finally crying tears of joy alongside her innermost fears, embracing them as friends. I have no words. Though I ultimately never made use of my last opportunities for sex, I can't imagine that the physical pleasure could ever compare to the joy of experiencing the ecstasy of the one I love. I got to make her happy. Happier than I think I've ever felt her. And what could be a greater joy than that? Saving the world will hopefully feel pretty good. Zoe Hedges. Maybe. But not that good. No. I guess not that good. And honestly, I think we'll probably hate it. Yeah, we probably will. I'd appreciate it if you gave me an opportunity to talk before things start to get ugly. Nora Butzing, her message forming directly against my mono self. I'm still inside you, I point out, briefly turning parts of me tangible so I can speak. You can just speak out loud. This feels more direct, Nora writes. And at the speed you're moving, you won't be able to hear me sooner rather than later. So unless you're willing to slow down? No can do, I write back, and start to accelerate faster. Talk if you want to talk, but unless the words are okay, I won't destroy the world. I don't think we have much to say to each other. And what exactly about this world is worth saving? Nora asks. To me, the only answer is you. I know you care about more than that. Your friends and families. Your lover. I'm saving them, too. Even if that were the problem, that's not even true, I answer her. You aren't saving Liriope, for starters. Be honest with yourself, Vita, Nora chides. You know your love of the Thanatos is artificial. You know your former body was designed to love its progenitor, created for forgiveness and affection for its own people. It's not real. Perhaps it was artificial and manufactured when Melrosa was born, I answer, but that love was reinforced and earned at every turn. Liriope isn't perfect. They hurt and look down on others. They even did it to my own family. But all I ever had to do to get them to stop was ask. What's wrong with being born with love, as long as the love is deserved? There's a pause. Only a few seconds, but that's an eternity for a mind as powerful as Nora's. Especially in a crisis like this. Do you love me, Vita? She eventually asks. No, I answer frankly. Not really. Do you love me? Another pause. I'm not sure, she admits. I want to. I think I might. But how can I tell? I sigh, twisting around a few soul-infused wall tentacles that Nora tries to grab me with before passing through another ceiling. I'm not exactly the best at it myself, I answer, but I think it's about selflessness. Selflessness and joy. There's a happiness to love, one that just bubbles up from nowhere simply by being with a person. And it makes you willing to do anything for them. That can hurt you, I think, if they don't love you back. But if they do, then you know it would hurt them to sacrifice yourself too much, and it kinda balances out a little. You just help each other, support each other, enrich each other's lives simply because you profoundly enjoy doing so. That is love, I think. It took me a long time to find it. Oh, Nora says. I have been alive a lot longer than you, and I don't think I've ever felt that. Perhaps I simply can't. I do enjoy being around you, Vida, but not enough to stop, I answer. Yeah. I know. Which is why I have to do something both of us are going to hate. As if I would let you leave, Nora sighs, and I feel her soul twist above me, spreading and solidifying into a shell of anima. My body can't phase through her walls when they're like that. Even while devoid of mass, you will not bring our brother into this, Vida. I won't let you kill yourself. I've died for less, I answer. I didn't know if I'd come back the first time, but I've never once regretted the sacrifice. This time, I don't know if I'll make it back either. But that's okay. I've made enough mistakes to know this won't be one of them. Vida, wait. Vida. Nora writes and screams, her island body shaking with the force of the sound as I teleport away, high beyond the sky, far out of her reach. This is the real strength of my new body, a power so good that I don't even think my godly siblings can match it. Teleportation is mana-intensive. Immensely so, and it only gets exponentially more difficult with the amount you're teleporting and the distance you're traveling. But I'm only made of matter when I want to be, and that means my range is practically limitless. My body isn't completely massless, as it still needs some kind of anchor for the anima to function in this world, but it can get extremely close. I can't repeat the trick on my own mana ocean, either, because mana actually has no mass and I simply do not know if there's any way to teleport nothingness. Presumably Nora doesn't either, or she wouldn't be stuck in a ball of mana oceans at the center of our dead universe. She's right about one thing, I suppose. We can't let what happened to our mana universe happen to this one, too. To me, though, that means we have to actually protect the people in it. Far up into the sky, above the highest islands, I look down at my world. It is not a good place. I've been starved, I've been beaten, I've been tortured, I've been oppressed. People have despised me for good reasons, and they have despised me for horrible, worthless prejudices. I have been hurt, and I have hurt others, in countless horrific ways. To many, I am a monster. To most, they will never know I ever exist. The air is so thin up here. I look up at the terrifying black spot in the sky, speckled with motes of white. I watch the Mistwatcher, my kin, drink down a ball of fire and light so massive that it defies all comprehension. God's avarice. A star, Nora reminds me silently, her whole ocean rippling with fear. A star. I teleport to my brother. Or at least, I try. I have no idea what the distance before me is like, no comprehension of the scale involved. My guess is conservative, but it's still farther than any distance I've ever traveled in my life. And yet, my brother seems not a single inch closer. Only the cold black void around me and the shell of my world behind me indicate that I have moved. My world. My world. Still linked to the Mistwatcher by a near invisible trail of yellow, it floats in bright defiance of the cold black around it. 100 planets, 1,000 peoples, all shattered to pieces and cobbled together like the ragged sewn scraps of clothes Lynn would dress us in, all those years ago. The yellow glow suffuses all of it, and it's only out here in the blackness that I wonder if I've ever truly seen the color white. I look back to my brother, and I teleport again. I go twice as far, this time. Still, he seems no closer. I teleport again. Barely, if I squint, he looks bigger now. Again, 10 times as far. Again, 10 times that distance. Are the specks of light I see in every direction as large as this star? How far away are they? You don't have to do this, Vida, Nora begs. Don't sacrifice yourself for people that don't even care about you. Go ahead and let Penelope destroy your life's work, then, I answer. Otherwise, I suggest you finish that tunnel. Again, I teleport. Nora rages, tendrils of herself striking into me, obliterating parts of me in her anger. But I know it's just to scare me, a false attack that she can't afford to commit to. She's too obsessed with her own survival. "I'll kill you, Vita," she shrieks. "I'll kill everyone you care about." "You're a monster, Nora," I tell her, "but you're not the right kind of monster. You're sadistic, callous, powerful, self-obsessed. But you've got nowhere near my level of spite. You'll save your own life and leave everything else be, and we both know it. But me? I'll gladly die to ruin you if you so much as think about hurting them again. Damn you, damn you, damn you, damn you." I smile at her distress. I can't help it. I'm really not a good person, not yet. But this is a good start. I teleport again. I teleport again. Every time, I increase the distance, thinking I'll surely overshoot and end up disintegrating inside the flame that dwarfs a god. But I barely even start to get closer, one jump at a time. It feels like months before I'm finally there, staring at my brother up close. His body shifts, his eyes swivel, and he stares back. Tendrils larger than every island I've ever lived on combined writhe in constant motion, haphazard eyes and chaotic growths combining into a form that defines my world's idea of power. Unmatched in size, in strength, in scope, and in control, the Mistwatcher is without question the most formidable being to ever live, an insurmountable symbol of death. What a horrible thing to call a brother. The first time I saw the Mistwatcher, years ago, the weight of his attention alone was enough to shatter the faux shell around my true soul and drag me kicking and screaming into nascent godhood. I understand what caused that, now. The literal pressure of his mana against my soul, concentrated by his active will, was by itself nearly enough to kill me. But this deep into the void, this far from the shattered scraps of his graveyard of a home, that ever-present yellow isn't here to suffocate me. I am alone with myself, so I spread my innumerable fractal tendrils and infect the dark with blue. The Mistwatcher screams. Or perhaps he roars. Or perhaps he merely shakes in fury. I cannot tell, not in this soundless, empty place. What matters is that I have his attention. Among all his innumerable eyes, one in particular focuses on me most intensely, a dark slit of a pupil and a crimson-red orb, a mirror of my own soul and the shade of a dead sibling I've never met. The Mistwatcher knows what I am, and he tolerates no competitors. "Here, boy," I whisper, the sound going nowhere. "Follow your little sis." Tendrils of anima, bursts of mana, and the physical limbs of the Mistwatcher all rush to me at once in a furious convergence, but I simply teleport away. This is it. This is the moment where I learn if my plan is genius or simple suicide. Does he teleport after me? My gut says no, he won't. He is enormous. He spends hundreds of years traveling from meal to meal. Even if he has enough mana to teleport something as large as he is, and he might, he's never shown the willingness or even ability to do so. He moves. It's a thing of utter horror to watch, as his body accelerates faster than anything I've ever seen, despite its insane size. So much power. The Mistwatcher could destroy any island he chooses with a casual flick. But despite how unexpectedly fast he catches up with me, he still has to catch up. He didn't teleport. I'm going to win. Win? Nora laughs helplessly. Win? No one wins from this, Vita. Everyone wins, I correct, as long as you lose. You don't, Nora says. I don't, I agree. But that's okay. I teleport again. And again. Each time, I have to go farther as the Mistwatcher goes faster. Soon, I find myself nearly home, floating just outside the atmosphere of my world, far above Nora's island. I can go no further. The Mistwatcher's mana is what holds these fragments together, and if I ever immerse myself in his mana he will kill me instantly. I can never, ever go home again. It's over, Nora, I tell her, slotting some of myself into a fragment of anima and firing towards her island like a beacon. Almost immediately, the Mistwatcher finds her, and her body, her island, starts to crumble and shatter. Are you safe? We'll see, my sister hisses, a smaller segment of her stony enamel body rocketing upwards and burning black in an attempt to escape the Watcher's wrath. Her very self leaks from the small escape shard, her mana acting as an ablative barrier to buy her mind and soul precious extra seconds of time. Still need help with the tunnel in our other world? I ask. I wouldn't say no, she grumbles. The black bordering my mana self twists away, rapidly fleeing towards a hole in the nearby purple. I follow her up it, helping Nora burrow through to the end until we finally burst free of the cocoon of our so-called siblings. The world of mana is somehow even more empty than the black void of stars, existing only as a true and unforgiving nothingness in every direction. It does not matter where we go, so long as it is away from the yellow. The tunnel collapses behind us as Nora and I finish emerging, and it seems that the damage she suffered in her escape has left her lesser than me. Weaker. Did Penelope do it? I ask. Is the world safe? I think I'll leave you to wonder, since you speak so highly of Spite, she answers, and then her mana flies away. I let her. She'll never be truly comfortable around me unless she holds all the power. It's just who she is. I glance back at my world. My shattered shell of dead planets. The home of everyone I have ever loved, every evil that has ever befallen me, every cruelty and kindness baked into the fabric of our home. The closest I can get is still so far away. I can't see anyone. I can't sense anyone. Perhaps Penelope and I were too slow, and none of them survived. Either way, Zoe says, we are now truly and completely alone. An island-sized tendril swings down at us, and we teleport away. Farther than we've ever gone before. Farther than the distance between my home and the star. Far enough that I can no longer see where I once was. Far enough that everything I have ever known is nothing but a memory. And now there's nothing. Nothing but the other stars, tiny pinpricks of incomprehensible distance. I pick one at random because what else can we do? And start to move. After each jump, I feel no closer than before, and I can only tell I moved because the other stars have changed their positions in the sky. If Penelope were here, she could have probably used it to figure out exactly how far away they all are. But I can't. I'll always be lost without her. Time passes at speeds we have no way to measure. It feels like a year before Tal and I finally get close enough to a star to find something other than all-consuming nothingness, and though we've cried countless times since we left, none of the tears compare to these. We've nearly gone mad in the lonely silence, a slow death by starvation because our minds are so hungry for something to do. Someone to talk to. Anything, really. But it's barren here. There are planets, beautiful planets, but they are all lifeless. Empty. No air, no water, no joy. We probably spend a decade here regardless, flying among the rings of stones, swimming in the molten rock, devouring the metals for power and pleasure. There was already next to nothing here when we arrived, but when we leave it is stripped even further, devoid not just of worth but even potential for worth. I've been scared to leave since the moment I arrived. But when I do I only feel dirty for having stayed so long and taken so much. I want to be better than the Mistwatcher. I have to be. Months or maybe years or maybe decades pass again. I find another system. I eat what I'm comfortable eating and move on, admiring the many colors and configurations of worlds that did not exist at my last stop. Even lifelessness has beauty. This universe is so much more than I ever could have imagined. Lifelessness. Fuck, I miss her. We miss them all so much. I hope they're okay. I hope they're happy. I hope they found someone other than me. But selfishly, I hope I'm not completely forgotten. No matter how much they would probably be better off without a Vita-shaped hole in their heart, no matter how I know they should be able to find and fill the loss of me with one another, I still can't stop hoping that I am missed. We truly are horrible. Tal laments. I can't stop myself from hating Nora. She was right to abandon me, as much as I constantly wish I had someone, anyone to talk to. Even her. Every decade I'm out here, the anger festers more strongly. I start trying to seek her out in the mana world, but I know there's no chance we'll ever find each other. Mana can only move so fast, and she has already started heading a different direction without any intention of stopping. But I wish I could catch her. I wish I could find her and torture her and rip her apart bit by bit, for forcing me to make this awful, awful choice. I don't even know if they're alive. I sacrificed everything, I cut myself away from every last good in my life, and I don't even know if they're alive. Damn her. Damn her. We truly, truly are horrible. It's beautiful here, at least. It really is. We're developing better and better spells to see farther and farther away, and there's just so much. Clouds of gas thousands of times larger than planets glow in gorgeous patterns across the sky. Tiny, rapidly spinning stars that belch out enormous amounts of energy turn out to be consistent enough to be a divine timekeeping device. Colors and patterns and beauties beyond anything in Brother's broken world abound in every direction, hidden from us by our jealous, gluttonous God. If my family does still live, they are still bound to him, trapped by his evil and reliant on his mercy. So I can't stop searching. I can't stop eating. I can't stop. I can't. There are people out here somewhere. We know there are. We won't be alone forever. Yes. We'll keep looking. We won't be alone forever. I have to believe that, or I'll just curl up and die. I almost do, a few times. It wouldn't be hard. I am composed of the very substance I think with, and the dissolution of my form and obliteration of all thought would be a simple act of will. But I did not make this sacrifice just to leave it all behind to rot away in vain. It sometimes takes years, but I always pick myself back up and search again. Again, and again, and again. Until I finally find it. My new world is blue. Oceans of water instead of mana swirl between ground-locked islands so large I feel as though they need a different name. I've never seen anything like it, even in the dozens or hundreds or thousands of years I've been out here, broken and alone. I dive into the waters, finding them startlingly salty. It's enough that I'd never imagined my old body being able to drink it, and yet everywhere I look I see clear evidence that this is not an issue. There's life. I finally found a world with life. My body can't make tears but I still cry, loud and sad and joyful and fragile. It's not just any life, either. I can see it, in tiny dots of order around the world. For the first time since I lost everything, I've truly gotten lucky. There are people here. There are people here. We're not alone. This world is so beautiful. It might be the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, bar one woman. The trees are massive and lush, drinking in the light of the planet's stars they seek to be ever closer to it. The air is thick and humid, and life swarms through every last inch of it. Giant insect-like beasts swarm the ground and the air, while fish grow to unimaginable sizes here where the waters aren't restricted to simple lakes. And the skies. The skies are blue. Not yellow, but blue. A calming pastel shade rather than my deep sapphire. But I can't help but whoop and triumph. I'm here. I made it. There's not a single soul or mote of mana here, and yet there's still life. You won't take this one, brother. I don't make myself visible the first time I visit the people who live here. I'm too afraid to, so I just watch. They remind me of giant centipedes, close to 9 feet long from head to tail. They have 12 legs on their armored, segmented bodies. All in the back 2/3 of their length. The front side of them lifts up from the ground, bending back so the torso and head can rest above the ground and therefore claw-like hands can easily grab, manipulate, and throw objects. They seem to still be new to intelligence, or perhaps they're just content with their lives. They build simple buildings, farm fields of vegetables and grain, and raise animals without anything beyond the simplest of tools. But at night, they all come together and curl around one another in the largest building, talking and laughing and telling stories and appreciating one another until each one finally falls asleep in an enormous pile. I can't help but fall in love with them. I already hate myself for what I have to do. We're no strangers to self-hate, of late, Zoe says. But we'll make it worth it. We'll prove ourselves better than our older siblings. Yes. We will. This is our test. It's hardly fair, though. No one but them suffers if we fail. Then we'll succeed. I watch them for days. For weeks. For months. I learn their names, their relationships, and slowly, their language. But I'm still the same stupid Vita. I'm far from fluent, even after so long. So I don't reveal myself. I keep putting it off until the moment I no longer have a choice. A young hunter trawls the forest, a spear in 2 hands and a dagger in the 3rd. A beast has been harassing their livestock, and she aims to slay it. It's going to get the jump on her, though. I can already tell. She's looking the wrong way. It's getting ready to pounce. I already care far too much to let her die. I won't be that kind of god. The beast halts mid-leap, panic filling it as it simply freezes in midair, unable to move. The hunter startles, brandishing her weapons in terrified confusion. I wait just long enough for her to realize what she sees is both impossible and life-saving before I let myself appear, my body twisting into visibility from the fingers that hold back the beast, down the arm, and flowing out into my full visage, tendrils twisting in the wind. She collapses in reverence immediately, and I don't have the heart to stop her. I don't want to be her master, I want to be her friend, her guide, her anything else. But no matter how much I still feel like a child, these people will never be anything but children to me. There is no way for me to bridge our difference in power. No hiding the vast gulf between what we are. I am a goddess, whether I like it or not. So I smile, though the gesture means nothing to her, and I say 3 simple words. Be not afraid. I might not have their grammar exactly right, but it gets the point across. She looks up at me, standing and gazing with awe. I present her quarry to her, and she slays it before returning to her village. That night, she tells everyone of the spirit of the forest, and I chuckle along as they all theorize about who or what I might be. From then on, I continue to help them in small ways. There are countless other villages, but I focus on this one for now, mastering their language and helping them out in little ways. I'm there when one of the women lays a clutch of eggs, the whole village rejoicing and throwing a feast. 3 of them, a beautiful set of triplets. I watch one of them develop wrong over the course of the month, emerging sickly and struggling to breathe as his 2 brothers cry like banshees. It's easy to see why. And while I'm no Penelope, I am a princess of Liriope. I know how to fix him. So I reveal myself again, take the baby from his mother's arms, and I make him strong. Nearly the entire village is there when I do, watching me emerge from nothing and heal a child with a thought. It feels good. It feels right. It's what I should be doing for everyone in this world, not just this village. I just don't know if I'm ready for that, yet. Who are you? The mother asks. What are you? I am Vita, I answer, to both questions. Great Vita, you have saved my son's life, and the lives of many more of us besides. Our entire village owes you a debt. That's good, I say sadly, because I intend to collect. They go still. I steel myself, feeling my ocean writhe in turmoil. What would you have us do? They ask. I am a traveler, I tell them, from very far away. From a horrible place of violence and death. My sister is callous and cruel. My lover may be alive or she may be dead. And my brother seeks me, as he seeks all things, to destroy and consume all that has ever been. One day, he will come here. You will not be alive to see him. Your children will not be alive to see him. Your children's 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 children may not be alive to see him. But one day, he will come. I spread my arms, gesturing to everything. Everything in the world. This is all so beautiful, I tell them. You are all so beautiful. But it will not be enough. You will need to be ready. They look at each other, fear in their hearts. But they nod. It will be war, then? They ask. Not war, I shake my head. We do not have time for whatever it is you think of as war. I will make you above that. I will unite your people across the world. I will work with you, help you, care for you, and empower you until you span the stars with the might to kill a god. I smile sadly, letting out a long and painful sigh. Then, you will be able to turn that power against me if you choose, and I will finally know if I was good or evil. That night, the village unanimously agrees to serve me. It's even more terrifying than staring down the Mistwatcher, but I suppose I'll have to do that again, too. May as well get practice. Considering the distances I'm used to, it would be trivial to teleport to other villages and do more or less the same, but I want to make sure I can handle one before I try to expand from there. I need to make sure anyone I make a pact with will be safe if I leave. I will give you part of my body, I tell them. I will nestle it inside you, where it will grow as you grow. When you die, I will take it back and add it to my power once again. But so long as it is inside you, if your situation is dire, you can call upon that power to work miracles. How will we use this power? They ask me. And that's the problem, isn't it? I'm not a good enough teacher to show them how to craft spell formulae without hurting themselves. Unfortunately, I'm not smart enough to give them advanced technology or weapons or super advanced bodies that wouldn't even die without a head. The only thing I've ever really been great at is reading souls. But if I can read them well enough, that should do the trick. Pray, I tell them. Wish deeply in your heart. Cry out in need, and I will feel it. If I am able to answer, I will. I will craft the spells myself. Magic is my body, after all. I am wherever my mana is. I will feel them. I will be inside them. And to protect them, I will spend myself like pennies off the street. At least until they die of natural causes, at which point I will have to reclaim the gift or risk wasting away. I don't know how to make them immortal without making them undead, and I don't have the ability to sustain and feed that many anima beings. At least, not yet. So as the years pass, I watch them grow old. By the time I've united a couple dozen villages, I've watched that first hunter girl pass peacefully in her sleep, and I've sobbed as I swallowed everything she was. By the time the planet has orbited its sun 50 times, the whole world knows of me. Vita, the goddess of blue. The Lifebringer. The wrath of stars. Not everyone loves me. Not everything runs well. I try to stop wars before they start, but I'm not always successful. Stopping them after they start is both painful and much easier. I am loved, I am respected, but I am also feared. I do not tolerate the sort of callousness that leads to poverty, hunger, and hoarding. And as the population of my people grows, I know fewer and fewer of their number personally. I have those I respect and seek advice from. I have those I consider friends. I have those I consider problems. But I have no equals, and most of my world is little more than a number, a schedule, a constant upkeep of life and death as I traveled between maternity ward and funeral, to give my blessings and collect my dues. I often lose myself in it. I often like to, preferring it to the agony of idle thought. But I do not let them forget, there will be no war among them, but soon there will be war. A dark and hungry God will come. Do not rest. Do not be complacent. They must learn both the power of destruction and the wisdom of peace, or their world, and every world, will end. Father, why is the sky blue? A boy and his father sit by a lake, exhausted and happy from a day of swimming in the sunlight. The boy's lower segments dangle into the water, his small legs kicking up idle splashes as memories of play continue to tempt him to jump back in. But his father is tired, so they rest together, wrapped tightly to one another as my people often do to show their love. Because the goddess is blue, the father answers, and I sigh. Her body, her power, her essence. It suffuses the world, and grants us protection. I'm not even sure why I stopped to watch these two, but now I feel the need to correct them. I manifest myself in front of the pair, my feet kissing the top of the calm water, and I give them a smile. Their faces are nothing like mine, all mandible and chitin plate, though most of them still know my mouth turns up when I am happy, and down when I am not. Not that I would change their appearance if given the opportunity. Their multi-segment mouth parts are honestly quite adorable. Only you think they're adorable, Tal, Zoe complains. They're even weirder than our mouth used to be, spike tongue and all. Well, This is no time to have an internal argument about what sort of chitinous mouthparts we prefer, so I give the pair a polite nod as they both prostrate themselves and beckon them to rise. No need to worry, I assure them. I was just passing nearby, and thought I would chime in. I do not, in actuality, cause the color of the sky. I am so sorry, the father stammers. I did not mean, it is fine, I insist, kneeling down to match his height. Honestly. Truly. You have done no wrong. But if you'd like to know the real answer to the color of the sky, I can tell you. It's a bit more of a confusing and complicated story, though. The child nods vigorously, enraptured and excited beyond measure. I'm fairly certain these people did not nod or shake their heads to indicate yes and no before I arrived, but I suppose they picked it up from me somewhere along the way. Well, I say, my smile widening, have you ever seen a rainbow? And so I explain, as best I can, how natural light is made of all colors, and how the atmosphere bounces blue around more than the others. I'm not sure I do a good job, and the child doesn't seem to understand all that well, but he listens very intently all the same. Anyway, that's it, I sigh. My apologies for interrupting your evening. I just felt the need to say something. I don't often stop and chat like this. Thank you, Vida, the father says. He has calmed down considerably since my sudden appearance, which makes me a lot less anxious. Thank you for telling me, Miss Vida, the child says. You seem to really care a lot about the sky. I stiffen, glancing up above us at the clear, beautiful day. I suppose I do, I admit. In the world I came from, the evil god had shrouded the world in yellow mist. The sky was all yellow, always. Day and night. We never got to see the sun, and we never got to see the stars. I was surprised, when I came here, to find the world was blue. It isn't quite my shade of blue, you see, but I vowed to never change it. I like it just the way it is. I glance back down at them, and melancholy on their faces that makes it clear they have nothing to say. That's all right. For some reason, I'm feeling oddly talkative. I knew someone once who would have been able to explain it better, I say. She was so smart. Good at everything she ever did. That's something I lack, you know. Something that we need. I think it's important that you never stop asking things and getting the real answer. You will never be more powerful than evil, but if you can be smarter, we might have a chance. Ask questions, learn, create, and help me make this world a better place. Can you do that for me? Yes, Miss Vida, the child says, and I teleport away. 60 years later, my people make their first trip into space. They know far more about it than I do, and inconceivably more about it than I did when I started my journey through it. I'm very lucky my body didn't need to breathe or eat or drink or be pressurized. None of that was planned. I just removed all the things about myself that I hated and was left with something that could incidentally survive the vacuum of space. I was just a fool stumbling into an unearned victory, as I've always been. My bad luck has balanced out more times than I care to admit. I should spend more time talking to people. More time learning. I need to find a way to automate a lot of the upkeep I'm currently doing just to keep myself growing without hurting anyone. At the same time, though, I don't want to stop. I don't want to have less to do. I don't want to have time to think about the home I lost. About the people I've lost. About the sacrifice that might not have even mattered. I've been alone with myself a long time, Zoe says. And no offense, but I'm not good company. So we push forwards. We work harder. We watch in awe as our people make beautiful, incredible things out of metal, things I could have never imagined with how rare it was back home. I'm always tempted to eat it, but I don't. If I ever get too hungry, I can always teleport to another solar system for a little while. Though I don't really like doing that. I just hope this works. The problem is, I don't know how to make it work. People at peace don't want to make weapons of war. What they have now wouldn't even come close to killing me, let alone him. And if we're ever to be equals, they have to be able to at least do the former. But they're branching off from what I know. They are learning more about the universe than I ever have. Little by little, they are ceasing to need me. And without even being able to guide them, I'll be alone again. I don't want to be alone. I am so tired of being alone. 200 years in, I barely even feel like a person. People rarely call on my power, and I rarely answer when they do. It takes a lot to shake me out of my stupor, teleporting invisibly around the world and facilitating the transfer of souls. I'm losing myself. I can feel it. It's barely been 2 centuries, and I can already feel it. I'm becoming like him. Just like I always feared. I already feel the temptations, the urge for efficiency, the callousness of so-called superior plans. I should have known better. I never had a chance of being good alone. But then, something in the mana world moves. I spot it from far away. Unfathomably far away. If there's one thing I've managed to consistently improve over the years, it's my early warning system. My people don't need it in the world of matter. I've spoken of my travels, and with my perfect memory we've managed to backtrack to where I was in the universe when the Mistwatcher and I parted ways. He will not find us for a long time. Long enough that he's less of a threat than I am. But in the mana world, I am still vulnerable, and I both fear running into him and hope I can run into Nora. Not that I know what I would do to her, if I did. But what I see isn't either of them. Not the deadly yellow or the cold black. I think it's the Mistwatcher at first, but after a moment of panic I return to myself and realize the shade is wrong. It's not the lifeless yellow of my brother. The tone is warmer, darker. Like a sunset on a clear night. It's orange. There was no sapient mana being that was orange when I left. Hesitantly, I fire off a part of myself to meet it. 3 years later, it makes contact. But for the last month and a half of travel, I already know. Penelope, I write with my tiny blue scout. You found me. The orange shifts and twitches, full of emotion and life. But slowly, hesitantly, like someone handling fragile glass, it writes back. It would seem that you found me, my dear. I weep. The entirety of me weeps, a howl of emotion that brings my entire planet to its knees, their souls aching from the sobbing mana inside them. You found me, I write again. You found me. You found me, you found me, you found me, you found me, you found me. Yes, Vita, she writes. I did. You're alive. Yes, Vita, she confirms. I am. We all lived. Your plan worked. I'm so sorry it took me this long to tell you. The Mistwatcher was particularly watchful after your escape. It took him centuries to calm down. You're fucking alive, I weep. I can't say anything else. I can't think about anything else. She's alive. I want to hold her, I want to touch her, I want to kiss her, but all that would happen if we tried is mutual annihilation. She's one of us now, self-made like Nora. Leave it to Penelope to turn herself into a goddess just to see me again. Alive and well, she confirms. What of you, my love? It has been a long time. You don't seem like your best. Could be worse, I write, my sobs turning into laughter. Found a planet. Centipede people. They are really nice. I'm helping them as best I can, but I'm not very smart. You're better than smart, Penelope says. You're clever. Clever enough to save a whole world. And now, I'm here. Now you're here, I agree. You're actually here. I love you. I love you so much. I love you, too. I've missed you. How? There's a pause. What do you mean, how? Penelope asks. How come you missed me? Why did? Could you not find someone better? In 1,000 years. Or however long it's. I don't know. I don't know how long it's been. I don't know anything. The orange mana shifts, twisting and writhing as if struck. Then it moves forward, she moves forward, and envelops the small part of me I sent to intercept her. Pressing in on all sides, just barely touching without annihilating, I feel her. I feel her the way I've always felt her, the truth of a soul laid completely bare. I know she is in pain, because my agony pains her. I know she is furious, because though this gift of her presence feels like everything to me, it is woefully insufficient in her eyes. And I know she loves me, because I am fully surrounded by that love, ignited and passionate and all-consuming. I have a gift for you, she says. I can't transfer anything larger than this, but I believe it will suffice for now. A gift? I write, but she's already pushed it out of her mana and nestled it into my own. It's small, maybe a quarter of the size of my torso, and it's very, very soft. Can you pull that through your tunnel, do you think? She asks. Yes, I tell her, and I form a new hole through the two universes, an extra vulnerability through which my soul could be attacked. But I know I'm safe. I'll always be safe with her. I pull the gift through, and Roscoe falls out of my chest and into my arms. We kept him for you, Penelope says. You can thank Lynn, it was her idea. I realize it's not as much of home as you might like, but he's perfect. I cut her off. Thank you. Thank you so much. Of course, she says. I'm sure we can coordinate on more now that we've found each other. I'm extremely limited on the degree to which I can expand myself, and metal is rarer than ever after the Mistwatcher's tantrum, but I'm sure I can take some of the burden if you're having logistical issues with a whole planet, you said. A whole sapient race? That's very fascinating, and an invaluable resource for potentially facilitating intraniversal trade. In fact, I feel bad about it, but at that point I stop listening. I'm too focused on the dumb little stuffed crow in my arms. My first and oldest friend. An obsession I brought between lives, now in my arms on an alien planet. I can't help but laugh, squeezing him as hard as I think he can take. I'm not alone. Not anymore. I survived, in body and spirit, and I'm not alone anymore. I will be okay. My love is here, and we can make the universe a better place together. I pull a small segment from my soul in a way I haven't used in many, many years. Just some mostly blank animal, fitted with a control shard and ready to make something move. I place it inside my little bird friend, because there's no longer a monster to take the soul away. Hug, I order, and everything is finally all right. Tope continued.